Alright guys, welcome back to Project GoodSpeed. On today's video, I'm going to try to repair the leaky trunk that's in my hatchback. Let's get started. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm Jay, and this is Project GoodSpeed, and I mostly work on the hatchback here. And currently, in California here, it is the rainy season, and, oh, it's already open. And as you guys might be able to hear, it's kind of raining outside still. So currently, it is February, and we have a little bit of a leaking issue in this area.
All right, I got a leak somewhere.
Over the past few weeks, I have noticed this issue.
How does that even happen? One of these seals must be bad. This isn't even a little bit of water. It's like a whole bottle of water just dumped down here. Jesus, okay.
And I've tried to fix it a couple times. So essentially, I came back here and I looked around and I saw we had some leaking going on here and a giant puddle located where the wheel would go, or the spare tire. At first, that's where I thought the water was coming from. I thought it was leaking from the top and just kind of making its way down to the bottom. So I went ahead and I just pulled apart this rubber seal. I used my heat gun to try to make the adhesive come apart a little bit so it make taking it off a lot easier. And then once I went ahead and took apart this rubber seal, I essentially just got it all off up until right around here, I think. I didn't actually worry about this area down here simply because I didn't notice any leaking, and I also didn't want to go ahead and just remove it all and risk ripping it, because once I got to this area here, the rubber seal got a little too fragile, and I wasn't comfortable removing the whole thing. So I just removed this area up here because that's where the majority of the water would be coming from anyway. Down here, the lid would actually cover any of the water getting to there. So that's essentially what I thought. So what I did is I just went ahead and removed this area. I cleaned up the metal part that it adheres to, you know, with some degreaser, some soap water, some alcohol, and also just scrubbed it apart of any debris and any dirt, and it was very dirty. I also did the same thing with the seal here, so when I went ahead and glued it back on, I wouldn't have any dirt or anything getting in between and making the leaking come back. So once I cleaned it up and I actually got all of the dirt and the gunk and everything removed and everything looked nice and clean, what I did to glue it back together is I used this 3M adhesive weather strip glue, and I just put a pretty good amount around the edges and just kind of like held it together. And you gotta have to like squeeze it to make sure you have all the air out, and you actually put a good amount. I think you can see here there's a little bit of the adhesive tape got away from me, and I put a little too much on this side. Better too much than not enough. Now that was actually a couple weeks ago, and currently it started to rain up again, and the leaking returned. Okay, so this was in the hatchback just because I wasn't sure if the sealant would work. Look at that. Oh, this thing is just full of water. Ow, that's heavy. So this thing's pretty, I mean, it's not soaking wet like before, but it's pretty wet. Where is this leak coming from? So I had to go back here and look at it more closely to try to see if I have any other issues. And this morning, I pretty much noticed that we have a little bit of water pooling in this area here. From what I read online, the trunk lights here have a little rubber gasket that kind of adheres to the body and keeps this area leak proof. But it's a very common thing to fail. So I'm actually gonna replace all of them just in case that side eventually starts to leak. I don't have to worry about it. Instead of just replacing one side, I'll go ahead and replace both of them. Anyway, so I ordered them and I went ahead and had them basically on standby here. I'll show you guys what they look like. So the website I got these from is called Resto Tuner, and they have a whole bunch of other aftermarket parts you can install through them, they have like a bunch of bolts, a bunch of the decals is really good. I actually bought one for another part on this hatchback that I'll install on it in another video, but essentially they also have this, and these rubber seals are gonna go a long way to actually stopping all the leaking, I mean, hopefully, that's going on in this hatchback. So let's go ahead and remove these taillights and try to figure out if I can see where the leak is coming from, because all this water inside my trunk is not gonna be a good thing. So I don't know if you guys can see in there. You guys can see there's one bolt holding it up there and one down here at the bottom. So it's not just two, it's four. And I'm starting to think I'm gonna have to remove this quarter panel in order to actually access them. So hooray for me, which means I gotta remove off both of them. Damn it. Damn, just got real messy in here all of a sudden. So I removed the body panels and everything that was in my way so I can get a better view of what was going on. And I noticed that the area here was very dirty. So I went ahead and I cleaned it up just because it really bothered me. Now, as I was cleaning, I couldn't really see anything that would suspect any leaking. So I decided that I was just gonna go ahead and take it outside. You guys can see all the water was dripping because I just decided to spray in certain areas to see where the leaking was coming from. Now, as I mentioned, I wasn't too concerned with this area up here just because I had already applied sealant and I was pretty sure it wasn't coming up here anymore because I don't see any droplets of water. So essentially when I sprayed the water, I decided to focus on 3 areas. So I went ahead and I sprayed the wheel well just to see if the water was leaking that way and kind of making its way down. And no luck there. Then I decided to spray under the bumper just because the water was pooling here, so it could be possible to say that the water was coming from this area and maybe going that way and this way because I noticed water on this area here. So I decided to spray underneath the bumper as well. And still no leaking. There was no leaking going on in the wheel well, no leaking under the bumper. So I decided to move my way to the tail light. And as you guys can see, it's still pretty wet. And essentially the issue came with when I sprayed this area here.
There you are. Found you.
So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm actually gonna go ahead now and replace the gasket that is on the taillight and just add new seam sealer. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that on that side as well, just so I don't have to go through this whole ordeal if this side starts to leak as well. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have to wait for that area to dry. So now's a good time to just go ahead and remove the taillights and inspect them. 2 bulbs, 3 little bulbs. And then there it is. And it feels pretty dry. It doesn't have that much give to it. Let me see if I can show you guys a better view here. So as you guys can see, right here is where the leaking is happening. I'm gonna go ahead and shine the light from the back. I mean, it's not a really big hole, but in the rainy season, all of that is just gonna add up, especially because all the water tends to kind of pool around there. It's gonna go right around the taillight and drip down there, and it's eventually gonna get stuck and go right into the body. So, should be a pretty simple fix. Now, I think it's pretty much dry, at least close enough for me to actually mount the thing on there so I can go ahead and start putting everything back together. And for the most part, it really wasn't all that difficult. it does take a little bit of finessing the bottle, just because when it comes out, it's kind of stiff and not as smooth as, like, say, like glue or something. It's more like chunky paste. Now, I went ahead and I cleaned up the old tail lights, you know, with some soap, water, and some degreaser, and I applied some of my solution finish to the housing, and here they are. They look pretty damn good. Apart from the overspray and the parts I couldn't get to, but anyway, this is the company Resto Tuner that provided our gaskets, and as you guys can see, we got a whole new hardware, as well as another sticker I added on there. It says premium fuel in a Honda Civic. Yeah, right. Anyway, so here are the new gaskets, and we're gonna go ahead and just mount all this stuff back in there. Oh, check it out. I just realized something. They're not even the same. So see, this one has a third slot for another hole there, and this one does not. See, this one has no, it's kind of like this area here, no housing. You guys can see on this side, housing for a bulb. This side, no housing. Whereas this one has one here and one there. It's kind of strange. Oh well. Man, now this is just gonna bother me. I'm gonna have to spend all this time searching for a matching set, because now it's gonna bother me. Anyway, it also comes with little gaskets for the other one, so I'm actually gonna take those off right now and replace them as well. So after a bunch of cleaning, man, I gotta tell you, these ones took a lot longer. The seal that was on there before was really dried out and basically just fell apart as I tried to take it off. I had to use a blade and some degreaser and some alcohol, and then just a whole bunch of other stuff just to get a nice smooth surface. But now we have new gaskets on our taillights on both of them, and we're gonna go ahead and just throw them back in there. And also, I'm gonna be replacing the bulbs, just because they're already out, so I might as well replace them, because I'm not sure when the last time these were replaced, and it's better to be safe than sorry. So we got two bulbs here. This is, the big one is 1156, and I'll put everything in the description if you guys want to know. But these are super bright LEDs that I'm going to be using just for the backup lights, just because with tinted windows it's a lot harder to see, and I figured it couldn't hurt. Boom. Now for the other one. We can go ahead and use Resto Tuner's new hardware. Now, unfortunately, this housing had a bolt that was loose, that was missing, so I won't be able to fit all the proper screws on there. This bolt here is missing, but you know, what can I do? This one, however, has two bulbs that look pretty similar, but one of them is 2057 and the other one, which makes this one 1156. Yep. Now, unfortunately, they only had one pack of the 1156, so I'm gonna be short one bulb, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Pretty bright. Finally finished up. I'm pretty sure I got the leak, but only time will tell, just because I don't want to test it right now in case the seam sealer is still dry. In case it's still wet, I don't want to try it right now, but it seemed dry when to the touch, and I am a lot more confident that now I don't think any leaking will happen there. Anyway, there you guys have it. I've replaced the gaskets, I've replaced the taillights, and I actually had to apply seam sealer to the corner lights, just because the gap in between the different body panels was giving out, and that was causing the leak. However, only time will tell if this actually solved the problem, because I didn't have a time to check it today. But until next time, guys, take care and Goodspeed.